Look who I found, another Hollywood hunk. Yeah. I found Paul Rudd.
Hollywood hunk?
A hunk. You probably never even called that.
I'm a straggler. No one even knows who I am.
No, everyone
not
knows
that they
who you
should.
are.
Before Paul Rudd was a staple in some of Judd Apatow's biggest comedies, including Knocked Up, the 40-year-old version, and This Is 40.
These are all the sex offenders in our neighborhood.
Looks like your computer has chicken pox.
Those are sex offenders.
Before Paul Rudd squared off against Stephen Hawking in an online chess match.
Look at this, he's trying to beat me with regular chess moves.
Before Paul Rudd was playing Ant-Man in the multi-billion-dollar MCU franchise. Paul motherfucking Rudd! Damn! How am I only making this video now? Now, right out the gate, I need to bring up the fact that this guy doesn't age. I mean, he's looked the exact same since he was a teenager. We have a clip from 1992 where he was a bar mitzvah DJ, and even back then, well, he was still slapping the bass. Take a look. Now, there's nothing this man hasn't done in Hollywood. I'm talking theater, television, and film, and now he's a bona fide superhero. But show business, it can sure be a tough nut to crack. I mean, this guy even had to go through Harvey Weinstein. Yikes.
My big fat Greek porno. People love Greek people. People love pornos.
Get out of my office now.
Is this your Oscar? This is your Oscar for the King's Speech.
What's going on, guys? It's your boy Michael McCrutton, documenting the life and career of Paul Rudd, here for you on Before They're Famous. Now, this video is actually a bit of a double header because we have also dropped a Before They Are Fiction on the creation and origin story of Ant-Man. Now, you can find that video over on Before They Are Fiction. It's a new channel, and we got tons of videos up there. Spread the love, hit subscribe. Now let's get into Paul Rudd.
If you put something in your hair or have you been electrocuted? What's happening? I mean, I like it. I'm a big fan of product in hair, but that's...
Well, there's a lot of product in there.
Paul Stephen Rudd was born on April 6, 1969 in the bustling metropolis of Passaic, New Jersey. Now raised by Jewish parents from London, England, his mother Gloria, she was a sales manager, and his father Michael, well, he was a tour guide turned VP of Trans World Airlines. He also has a younger sister. Now on the PBS series Finding Your Roots, well, Paul discovered that Michael and Gloria, his parents, well, they're in fact second cousins. That's like a Judd Apatow film concept right there. And I'm assuming like distant second cousins? Because Paul turned out A-okay. Although that does kind of explain his character and our idiot brother. And let's just move on. Now the Rudd family, their name derives from the surname Rudnitsky, and Paul's grandfather on his father's side changed the name presumably in the 1930s. And the Pauls, well, their grandparents, they've moved from Poland to Belarus to Russia, then they went to England before his parents moved to America. Now he was raised in the Jewish religion, and for his bar mitzvah, well, his parents, they moved to another country. They came to good old Canada. Now he also stuck close to his parents' British roots, with his uncle sending him comics from the UK throughout his childhood, and he also grew up a huge fan of the band Rush. Now his love of which has had some influence on his later work. At just 10 years old, the Rudd family, they packed up and moved to Lenexa, Kansas, a small country town in the Kansas City area. Now, as you can imagine, moving to Kansas was quite the transition for a New Jersey native. But, well, young Paul, he did adapt to the Midwest lifestyle. Along with growing up an avid fan of the Kansas City Royals, Paul developed a keen interest in performance. Graduating from Shawnee Mission West High School in 1987, there he was the student body president. Now, fun fact, Jason Sudeikis, he also went to this high school about 6 years later. Another fun fact, well, apparently Paul, he was a cheerleader. Following high school, Paul enrolled at the University of Kansas, where he was a member of the Sigma Nu fraternity. He there studied theater. And speaking of his love of theater, well, Paul stated, "Theater is the most enriching and thrilling thing to do as an actor. It trumps movies and all that other stuff. People say you must love the instant feedback, and we're all attention whores for sure. That's why we chose this profession. But it goes beyond that. There's something magical about a shared experience in a theater. With actors and an audience, I don't know if the audience members realize just how huge a part they play in the production. How they are determines how we are, and when it all works, it's magical." Paul moved on to the American Academy of Dramatic Arts in LA, and even got a little English training at the British American Drama Academy, which is located out in Oxford, UK. Now, while most of us have worked some pretty mediocre jobs to get ourselves through school, I'd say Paul had a pretty awesome gig.
Hey pal, it's her gig. She gets under the boat.
That's right, on weekends Paul worked as a DJ for bar mitzvahs and bat mitzvahs. And he would bump poetic 90s classics such as I'm Too Sexy and You Can't Touch This. Working this gig, Paul saw some wild stuff. He even saw a celebration where the Laker girls, they were in attendance. Now, it goes without saying that Paul grinded it out in Hollywood long before finding stardom, and during these years he'd spark up lifelong friendships with other Hollywood hopefuls, including Matthew Lillard and Jennifer Aniston. In 1991, he was featured in a commercial for Super Nintendo.
When you decide to get serious, there's only one place to come, the games of Super Nintendo. No one else creates this kind of experience.
But like most actors, Paul's first big break came in television when he appeared in over 20 episodes of the drama series titled Sisters. Now, after appearing in the short-lived sitcom Wild Oats, Paul got his big break in the starring role of Josh in the 1995 classic Clueless.
You just got here and already you're playing Couch Commando?
Hey, in some parts of the universe, maybe not in contempo casual, but in some parts, it's considered cool to know what's going on in the world.
After the success of Clueless, Paul moved to New York City, and he was advised to get himself a publicist. Arriving in an office with his suitcases in hand, he knew no one in the city and asked his publicist to go to lunch. The two hit it off, and Julie Yeager, she would go on to become his longtime girlfriend and future wife. Now, with Clueless becoming a cult status among teens, 1999 proved to be a pretty big year for the actor's career. He booked roles in Romeo and Juliet, as well as Halloween: The Curse of Michael Myers. Side note, we just did a Before They Are Fiction on Michael Myers. Check that out as well. Who would have thought a horror movie killer would one day be confused with the guy who played Austin Powers?
Ouch, baby. Very ouch.
Along with starring in several Broadway productions such as The Last Night in Ballyhoo and Twelfth Night, he featured in several more movies throughout the late 90s, but with rising success sometimes comes disappointment. Paul apparently auditioned for the role of Jack in Titanic, and needless to say, he didn't get the gig.
Ouch, baby. Very ouch.
And you gotta imagine that's a pretty big loss, but it hurt his dad more. As it turns out, his dad, he's a Titanic historian. Imagine you'd want to see your kid on that poster. Anyway.
I'll never let go.
It was the 2000s that marked the beginning of Paul becoming a Hollywood A-lister, transitioning primarily into comedic roles. Now, after a part as Andy in 2001's Wet Hot American Summer, Paul appeared in 2002 as Phoebe's eventual husband, Mike on Friends. Great name, great role.
Mike, let me ask you something. How many sisters does Joey have?
6. What are you doing? I said 7.
But it was his role 2 years later that was a game changer when he became the cocky reporter, Brian Fantana, in a movie, you probably know what I'm talking about, Anchorman, The Legend of Ron Burgundy.
Yep, it's made with bits of real panther, so you know it's good.
Having solidified himself in Hollywood, he then married his longtime girlfriend Julie, and together they have 2 kids, Jack born in 2006 and Darby in 2010. But let's get talking about his career again, because I love this clip.
They've done studies, 60% of the time, it works every time.
A $90 million box office slaughter, Anchorman has gone down as one of the most popular quotable comedies of the 21st century. And its success, it paved the way for Paul to make a name for himself as the go-to supporting actor in raunchy comedies. Now, his ability to light up the screen with goofy modern-day male antics made him the perfect choice for 2005's The 40-Year-Old Virgin and 2007's Knocked Up, both directed by Judd Apatow.
It feels like a bag of sand when you're touching it.
Bag of sand?
Paul kept the funny train rolling with more roles into the 2010s. In 2012, he returned to the stage in Craig Wright's Grace, performing the play in NYC, Chicago, and LA. Shortly after receiving a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, his career took an interesting turn. In 2015, he joined the Marvel Cinematic Universe as Ant-Man. Now, if you want to know more about the creation and origin story of Ant-Man or how he got the role, you gotta check out Before They Are Fiction. Not only is it a separate video, it's a separate channel. As for the rest of the story, we'll have to wait and see because this is Before They Are Famous. My name's Mike McCrudden and we make all sorts of celebrity bios here for you on this channel. And to keep this party moving, I need you guys to send me in more requests. The best way to get my attention is to hit me up via Twitter or Instagram, and I'll see you guys in another video. Boom! Now, following high school, he enrolled at the University of Kansas,